intelligence and process automation. We have capacity up next. David Karandish. David, are you with us?
I am happy to be here.
Hey, David, we're thrilled to have you. So everybody that wasn't tuned in to Engage.marketing 2 weeks ago now, David gave a little tease of this demo that he's going to do right now. And I know our audience members loved it then. You're going to love this even more. So let me do a quick introduction to capacity, and then we'll let David grab the screen and take us forward. So Capacity is a new kind of help desk powered by artificial intelligence that automates support for mortgage loan officers and borrowers. The Capacity AI continuously learns from organizational knowledge and the interactions within your business to automate processes and decisions. From automated round-the-clock chatbot support to ticket prioritization, the help desk suite is engineered to improve the borrower experience while allowing your support staff to be more productive. All right, David, floor is yours.
Right. Thank you for taking the time out. Let's go ahead and dive in. What I thought we'd do today is we're going to cover three things. First, we're going to talk about how Capacity can transform what you're doing from a borrower-facing website. Second, we'll talk about how Capacity can transform the internal guts of your organization, how you make your team more successful. And then finally, we will walk through how Capacity can automate your workflows and help your team do its best work. So let's dive in. I'm going to share my screen here. And we're going to start out on the HomeFundit website, which is powered by CMG Financial. On HomeFundit, CMG launched this website with the idea of helping to reach millennial borrowers, first-time home buyers, folks who are new, who have a lot of questions around the mortgage industry itself. So HomeFundit has their Payton bot. Payton is powered by Capacity. So I could go ask a question about, say, down payment. And you'll notice here, as I'm typing, Capacity will autocomplete to the questions that it knows how to answer. So it gives you this nice little preview, depending on what you're asking about. So I don't know what to put down for down payment, comes back with a response. Again, you could thumb up this response if you like it. You could thumb it down and bring someone in to answer it for next time. Or if I had a question about prepayment penalties, again, Capacity goes into its knowledge base, comes back instantly with a response. Now, the beauty of how we've designed this is that you've got complete control over how to brand it, what kind of personality your bot has, the look and feel and the name, etc. So we go over to Planet Home Lending. At PHL, our bot is named Stella. So I could ask a question like, I want to apply for forbearance, and it will come back to me instantly with the response, including links back out to the other sections of the site. Now we've designed it where you can make the bot go full screen if you want to be able to ask a longer question. And again, it's just as simple as typing in, I want to know about loan servicing transfer. Again, instantly comes back with a response. Now, a lot of people like to talk about how good their bot is at answering questions when you type them in exactly right, but they don't like to talk about what happens if the person on the other end doesn't type it in just how you'd expect. So if I went back and I asked a question about lawn service, I forgot the A in my inquiry there. Stella, powered by Capacity, will go in and it can look at its knowledge base. If it's not quite sure if it can match it or not, it'll actually come back and clarify for me. Say, did you mean, what does loan service transfer mean? And again, instantly comes back with the answer. It's simple, it's straightforward, it's frictionless. Now, so far we've shown what the Capacity experience looks like to the end consumer. Let's take a little venture back to a little behind the curtain on what it's like to administer the Capacity knowledge base itself. So this is the Capacity console for PRMG. You can see here the way the console is divided out. You can search the knowledge base. You can see new exchanges, recently updated, expiring soon, or expired. You can create whatever knowledge library you'd want on the left. We've got a help desk, a knowledge base, workflows, analytics, and settings over here in the bar. And so I could go in and let's say I wanted to ask a question about, I've got a borrower related question. Again, as I start typing, I could say, okay, I want DACA borrower requirements, and Capacity will come back instantly with a response, taking me to the sections of Fannie and Freddie that we're looking for. Again, just simple, straightforward, and frictionless. Now, if I go over to my internal Capacity console, I want to show another couple quick examples. A lot of times there are scenarios where you have a question on something that lives in a document. So what we did is we built a cloud drive directly into the Capacity knowledge base. So I can go search for the handbook. And you'll see here, I'll make this full screen. The Capacity handbook will load up. I think this handbook is about 44 pages in length. Typical team member handbook that people would ask questions about. Now, the way we've designed the platform is that we have group permissions, so you could turn this document on or off for particular groups. So if you have a document that's only available for your consumers, or only internal, or only for a sub-team within your internal groups, you can go in and adjust those groups there. Now, there are cases in which you want to ask a question into a document, and the response is going to be too long to fit in a simple chat window. So let me show you how we handle that. So if I ask Capacity about the parental leave policy, in addition to the Q&A we've pulled out, this result here will take me to page 24 of that employee handbook. You'll see here, instead of having to search for all the documents, know which document I had to look for, took me right to the information I needed. Now, this response is about 1.5 pages in length, so probably too long to fit into a standard chat window, but we took you right there. We've got clients that are using this for their regs and their guidelines and their internal policies in the different areas where you're searching, where the ultimate source of that answer comes out of a document. Now, many of our clients use Salesforce as their CRM. And so we decided to deploy Capacity within Salesforce over on the right-hand bar of your Lightning interface. So if I wanted to go ask Capacity, this is logged in internally as me now. I want to know, how do I connect? Oh, I want to connect to the VPN. Again, it will go into my internal knowledge base and come back to me instantly with a response. Simple, straightforward, and frictionless. All right, now so far we've shown a lot of external use cases. We've just shown our first internal use case. Capacity can also plug into major messaging platforms. So think of Slack, think of Skype, think of Microsoft Teams, Symphony. I want to show a couple of examples of that next. So here's Capacity running in Slack. It shows up just like another team member on your Slack list. I can go to Capacity and I can say hi. And it should come back and say hello. Generally very friendly most of the time. Or I can go back to Capacity and say hi. It'll say you just said that. So it's got some conversational history. It's got some short-term memory built in. So I could ask a question like, how many vacation days do I have? And again, it'll go into my HR system, come back to me instantly with a response. And to be very clear, you don't have to type it in exactly right. So if I said, how many vacation days of the Z do I got? And believe me, we get all sorts of creative ways of spelling things here at Capacity. It can still come back and answer my question. Again, answering internal questions. I could ask about, oh, do we have disability insurance? It will go into that guideline and come back to me instantly with a response. But we can also not only retrieve information from these systems, but we can have Capacity take actions on my behalf as well. So I could say, let's schedule 15 minutes to meet with Cindy and Chris. And Capacity will look at my calendar, it'll look at Cindy's calendar, it'll look at Chris's calendar. Smart enough to know that we've got multiple Chris's in the org. So I can go select Chris Doer. And the next thing you know, it'll find the first 5 times when all of us can meet based on our time zones, meeting availability windows, and our preferences. And in fact, we've got a whole algorithm around how it makes those selections and how it pulls this information. So I'll say, let's meet today at 4 o'clock. And the next thing you know, it will go in and add that directly either to my Google Calendar or my Outlook calendar. And just to show that this is actually happening here in real time, I've load up my Google Calendar. And we're going to go ahead and delete this because poor Cindy and Chris are the victims of my calendar scheduling demos, and they get mad when I leave these fake invites on there. But you get the idea. Okay. A couple other internal demos we want to walk through. So we can connect capacity directly to your LOS. So I could say something like, show the Johnson loan, and capacity will go log into Ellie Mays and Compass or whatever LOS you're using, come back to you instantly with the response, with the rate lock, the status, you name it. Or I could say, what loans are closing this month? We'll again log into the LOS, come back to me with links out to the 3 deals that are closing this month. And lastly, on the internal side, we can also ask questions about the regs directly. So I could say, what are USDA income limits? And again, it will go into the regs and link me to the particular sections that have the information that we need. Now, all this is great, answering all these questions. But a lot of times organizations come to us and they say, David, we've got all these processes we'd love you to help with. Can capacity take over more and more of our processes? And the answer to that is yes. First place we want to start is with our capacity developer platform. Now, the way the developer platform works is that we build these little hooks or connectors from your applications into capacity. We've got about 50 plus different apps available today, and we've now opened it up where our clients and partners and third parties can build apps on top of the capacity ecosystem. Here's an example of what we did with Salesforce, where it's integrated directly into capacity. And if you want to go in and update any one of these calls, you can go do that yourself, which is awesome. It's really good when you have proprietary software that we're not experts in building those hooks and integrations into. Now, ultimately, when I think about automation, I think a lot about process. And I think about all the processes that we do day in and day out. They're very robotic in nature, where we're doing step after step after step. So that leads us to our workflows product. The way that we think about workflows is imagine taking an offline process, digitizing that process, and then assigning steps to that process directly to the capacity bot. So here we've got our workflow editor with employee onboarding, loan creation, loan origination. I can click on loan origination. It'll take me through all the steps of that process, credit bureaus, approvals, etc. Go over here on the left, and I can add a workflow within the workflow. I always like to joke around. It's like those Russian dolls where you have the doll within the doll within the doll. This is really helpful when you've got a process that's embedded in a bigger process that's embedded in a larger process. So in this case, we put the loan creation process within the loan origination process itself. Now I'm going to go over and add a new task to this workflow. And again, you could add comments, actions, guided conversations, notifications, you name it. So in this particular task, we are going to send the closing disclosure at the end of the loan. I'll fill in the description, assign it to Isabel on my team. I hit create. Now we've assigned that to Isabel. Go back up to the top of the workflow, turn this thing on. Now if I go back to my main workflow screen, we can see that Amy Anderson has applied for a loan and she's 3/4 of the way through the process. Not only that, but we can also identify all of the time it is taken for each one of these steps. This task has been in progress for 15 minutes. On average, it takes an hour to complete. It's taken 3 days from the beginning of the workflow to get here. So if you want to know what are your choke points, what are your bottlenecks, we're going to give you full transparency into what that looks like. When I click on view ticket details, we'll now jump over to our help desk where we can see all the tickets that are assigned to Isabel, including this one. We can see the status, the created by, the priority, the tags. I can go click on one of these embedded actions. We've now set this to resolved, and now I can go on my merry way. Now, if we could take these tasks that you have and put a help desk behind it, that's awesome. But the real opportunity for Lyft is to convert these individual tasks into tasks that are assigned to the capacity bot. So instead of assigning this to Isabel, we're going to reassign this task to capacity. we'll do that through that dev platform we talked about earlier, where we've got all these little hooks and skills come right out of the box. Now I can put in the from, the to, the subject, and the body, and even populate it with information from earlier on in the workflow. I go hit create, scroll down, and you can see this task, instead of being assigned to Isabel, it's now assigned to Capacity and linked back to the Gmail integration. Now fast forward a couple steps and stages, we think there's an opportunity to automate as much as 70% of your workflows by assigning those tasks directly to the Capacity bot. So just to recap, Capacity is here to help teams do their best work. You can go answer 84% of your questions instantly through our chat and AI platform. Anything we can't answer kicks over to our help desk. We've got this workflow automation platform. It's powered by our developer integrations. Anything we can't automate there becomes a human task in the middle. So 2 layers of automation with a human on the inside. With that, let's open up for questions.
Thanks, David. As a marketer, I love a good workflow. So I love the way this workflows within workflows within workflows is my jam. I love it. Couple questions. How quickly can Capacity be deployed?
Yeah, so we've done website deployments in as short as 48 hours. And we would typically set an example with our clients of saying, we can get it in your hands in 30 days or less.
Awesome. 48 hours, that's fast. What does the onboarding process entail?
During onboarding, we typically try to do 2 things. The first is we get a representative sample from your team to ask questions into the bot. So not only can we learn the lingo of your particular org, but also start to train your first users on how does the bot work and identifying any areas where there may be some documents we need or any holes in the data to get started. Second thing that we want to do from an onboarding perspective is we want to make sure that we've got a roadmap and plan for how to deploy this out to the rest of the org. If it's an external use case, you can place it directly on your consumer-facing website. If it's an internal use case, we can integrate with your Active Directory or Okta or ADFS type implementations.
Sweet. If Capacity doesn't know the answer to a question, what happens?
Great question. So if Capacity doesn't know the answer, we will kick it back over to our help desk where someone on the support side of your team can jump in. But unlike other help desks out there, when they respond to that question, we actually save that in the knowledge base for next time. So Capacity keeps learning with every single inquiry that comes in.
I love it. Keep continuous learning. All of us need to do that. How can you make sure confidential information doesn't get into the wrong hands?
Great question. So first of all, we are SOC 2 compliant. We work with Deloitte as our SOC 2 auditors, GDPR compliant, CCPA compliant. We never cache responses that come back from the apps themselves. So we're always grabbing the most recent information from the LOS or from the CRM or from the Office instance. We will track the questions that people ask, so we can do that from a reporting and analytics perspective, but we don't track the responses on the outputs that come out of your apps.
Cool. And then how do you access Capacity? Do you need to have like a Slack or a Microsoft Teams, or is it standalone?
That's the best part, is we'll go wherever you're at. You can put our concierge on your internal intranet. You can place it on your external customer-facing website. And if you already have a messaging platform like Slack or Teams, we can deploy there as well.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us, David. This was super stellar. Like I said, I'm kind of geeked out over those workflows, but I will hand it back over to Clayton to pass us off.
Thanks, Karen. And thank you, David. I love your demo. There's just so many applications I can think of within my own business of how this could help. So I can only imagine how it can help all the lenders who are dealing with a world of different workflows and challenges in their business every day.
Thank you.
Awesome. All right. Thank you, David.